Yeah. AGM for the TTA from 23 to 24. I'm the current chair for about probably the next maybe hour and a half or something like that. This is Graham Berry. He's Barrow coordinator and he's going to be a new chair. This is Adam Flint. He's Dunkeld coordinator, one of the Dunkeld coordinators, and this is Mike Klein. He's our treasurer. Right, what I'll do, I'll just get straight in and we'll just basically run through everything we've done. Quite a lot goes on in the background, so I'll try and quickly run through it so you don't get too bored. But it's been another busy 12 months. So we had our AGM last March, and this is basically what we've done since then. So the first thing we did was On Your Bike, which was one of the peripheral events that we held to kind of support the 2023 Cycling World Champs, which was held in Scotland. So what we did for On Your Bike was it was a 2-day event. The first day was held down at the South Inster, and we had a big bike jumbo, so we had a lot of basically everybody's got a garage full of stuff, bike bits and stuff, so we gave everybody the opportunity to sell them on to other people, and there were a couple of businesses came as well, and it was pretty successful, the bike jumbo. We also had the clan stunt team down there. We had the Medon pump track, Sustrans were there. We kind of run free bike hire, guided rides, all that sort of thing, and it was great. It went really well. And then day 2 was held up at Dukeney Bike Park, and we had it was a photo competition, so it was like a jam really in the bike park. So we had a photo competition, and we had some pretty cool prizes, Fox suspension and all of that. So the result of that was 2 really busy days. Raised quite a bit of some funds for the TTA, and I think we've kind of boosted the profile of the TTA to a lot of people that didn't know what the TTA was. And there was a lot of local mountain bikers got involved, non-cyclists, and lots of kind of activity on the socials before and after it, and the photo competition was really popular. So that was in March. Moving on to April, there was a ton of dig days up at Dunkeld, ahead of what was probably the last ever Dunkeld Enduro. So I don't know if Adam wants to maybe give a bit of info about that.
Yeah, so the Dunkeld Enduro for the time being is no more. We had 10 years of running the Enduro. The trails need a rest. The organisers and anyone that helped out on any of the trails also needed a rest as well. So, and linking up other sections to provide some different stages. And that certainly in most years it was a big part of or a big bulk of the work that was done in Dunkeld was in preparation for the Enduro. So we're just aware that if there's no Enduro, we kind of want to keep up momentum for looking after the trails. So there's work happening to make sure that still happens. But yeah, it was a really successful Enduro that worked well for the organisers, for the TTA and the village. Will be interested to see how the takings will be in April for the businesses in Dunkeld now that there isn't an Enduro. That might be an interesting way to be able to put a figure on what the Enduro brings to the village, and maybe we'll see a bit more interest and support from the community if we decide to do anything again in the future. But yeah, it was good. Yeah, it went down well.
Right, so keeping on what we did in April, we ordered a load of kit, and we built up 4 trail coordinator packs, one for each venue, and it's just been brilliant. So we've basically, within that kind of waterproof dry bag, we've got a comprehensive first aid kit. We've got wire cutters, wind up torch, wind up phone charger, we've got a storm shelter for emergencies, folding saw, trail closure signs, hazard tape, waterproof notepad, all that sort of thing. And basically all the equipment that we need to run a dig day is in one backpack now for each venue, so it's made preparation for dig days quite a bit easier because you just grab the bag and shove it in the van. So that's been really good moving forward. Another thing that happened in April was there was a consultation evening for Craigie Hill Golf Course, which is ongoing. So we spoke about this last year, so they're downsizing an 18-hole golf course to a 9-hole, and they want part of the kind of future plans is to have a trail centre there and possibly pump track skills course and all that sort of thing. So it would be brilliant. I mean, almost certainly it's going ahead, or it's certainly still part of the plans. It's a kind of long-term thing, but it would be quite good because obviously that would give us a riding venue at the other side of Perth, with full kind of changing facilities and all that, and that could also be joined on to an existing trail network that leads over to St Magdalene's Hill, which is where the old mountain boat track is. So it's a long-term plan, but it could be pretty cool for Perth if all of that kind of falls into place. So moving on to May, we had Take Care of Your Trails dig days at all of the venues, Dukeney, Pitmedden, Barlow and Dunkeld. And then we also did in May we did a Crash Free Trails Spring Clean Evening, and that was at Dukeney, and that was in conjunction with the Tayside mountain bike club, and we were at that, and there was absolutely tons of stuff. You kind of walk about and you don't think there's any litter there until you split up and you go between the trees and whatever, and there's absolutely tons of stuff we picked up, some really random stuff. It was like an old can from 1978 or something like that we picked up. So anyway, June, obviously we didn't do anything in June because I haven't written anything down, so we must have been riding our bikes. July consisted of just routine vegetation management at all the venues, cutting back overgrown gorse because you're in the midst of the kind of growing season, overgrown gorse, opening up sight lines at trail exits and all that sort of thing. So keeps you busy, not very exciting, but it's got to be done. Also in July we attended the Energy Festival, which was down at the North Inch in Perth, and this was another one if I ever wanted it, and we ran kind of e-bike guided rides, family rides, all of that sort of thing, just to get people into or trying e-bikes who've probably never ridden them before. So that was really popular, and we raised a wee bit of money from that as well to go in the coffers. So moving on to September, so Adam and I went up to, it wasn't supposed to be at Comrie Croft, but we ended up having a meeting at Comrie Croft to discuss setting up a Strathern trail crew that would come under the TTA. So that would be, so there's quite a few riding destined row, and there's Torlum and obviously Comrie Croft as well. So the idea would be that a trail crew would kind of help to, I suppose, maintain the wider trail network around Strathern. Quite a good meeting. There was a lot of kind of sceptical people there, which is fine. We need cynical people to come in so we can try and show them that it's quite a good thing to have a trail association. But obviously some of the riders were kind of worried that a lot of their, hand dug trails would either be closed or, sanitised or whatever it is, or even discovered, your kind of secret single track and all that. So that's fair enough argument really. But we tried to kind of explain that it's not really about that, you know. But hopefully it would be the opposite. Hopefully we'd be able to develop the place. So it's an ongoing conversation. We need to make sure there's enough people in Strathearn that are going to want to be part of a trail crew and kind of be active. And then we also need to make sure that there's landowners that are keen. At the moment there are a couple of landowners that seem keen, but it just all has to fall into place. So moving on to October, we went to the Scottish Mountain Bike Awards, Graham and I. So I was nominated for Trail Advocate of the Year, and the TTA were nominated as Trail Association of the Year, and we didn't win any of them, so that was great. So we got drunk. And then also in October, Storm Babbitt trashed so much stuff across Tayside and made a right mess basically. So what about the bridges in Dunkeld?
Yeah, so there was a lot of community support to try and get some kind of a link re-established between Dunk over to Inver for the campsite, for the residents, because their kids needed a cottage, both for locals and for tourists. The actual bridge itself is a much longer term project to take a bit more of a pedestrian route rather than the direct over the bridge. But as for the other bridge, that's slowly rumbling forwards to get a fresh bridge put in. Although it has been a while, I think we'll just have to get some stepping stones put in. So maybe a few of us will go up, some strong boys, go up and we'll get some rocks moved about just so we can get across there on foot for the time being until something more significant is put in.
Right, so Storm Babbitt, yeah, so I suppose at the end, after Storm Babbitt, basically we had to any scheduled dig days that we had, we had to refocus them just to clear wind blow and all that sort of thing instead of fixing up the trails and building berms like we wanted to do. But that's just the way it is. So on to November, we carried on clearing storm damage from Babbitt, and then so as a result of Storm Babbitt, I went and met with Robin from Forestry and Land Scotland up in Duchney, because the storm had absolutely trashed a bunch of trails, Fanny Geraint and Herdline and a few others. So we went for a walkabout, and there was no way, they're just never coming back, those trails. There was such a mess, and plus there's a lot of laps there, so we were going to have to deforest it anyway. So what we did was we had a wee wander down along the hillside a wee bit, and we looked at a line, and basically we discovered that we could put a wee line in that would lead to Rock Hudson. So that was brilliant. It was a really good example of kind of how it works, working with landowners, and so we knew that we could go in there a couple of weeks' time, and we had a new line. Didn't affect anybody, and it was all above board. So, and it hopefully stopped randoms going in with chainsaws and trying to clear wind blow and all that sort of thing. So that was a good win. Also in November, Pitmedden, we rerouted the final shoot in Tobal, which is probably one of the most popular trails in the hill. But it was suffered for kind of breaking bumps. It was just a fall line, and so we rerouted that, made it flow much better, and that was good, wasn't it? That was a success, I would say. It rides a lot better now.
Yeah, there was an issue with drainage after it got built, so basically let it flood, and then worked out where the drainage point would be for it, and then that's been two months, I think, and it hasn't flooded once, considering all the rain, so that's worked. And now it's all packed in, everyone says it's pretty special, it's good.
And it shows how you don't need to just go down the fall line to make it good fun. Yeah, also in November, Barlow Trail Crew, you piped and, well, you tackled the Lord of Barlow, didn't you?
Yeah, very much. So last year we had a meeting on site with Forestry and Land Scotland, who identified a few issues they were concerned about, not least the teeth and great bog that everybody has to ride their bikes through. So after that, they gave us to use vehicles to hunt for about probably 10 plus tons of rock up and down the hill from an old borrow pit that they used to build all the fire roads. So we spent 4 days across November dragging clay and rock and all that, piped it, drained it, and the first 2/3 of it is holding up pretty good. It's had most of the winter now, it's still pretty much fine. Unfortunately, the second half's still a bit of a mess, so the next thing is to go back and do that. But at the same meeting with FLS, they've got concerns about a few timber features across the hill. A few more did this since then to replace berms and the odd cover that was built in timber. So we're just gradually going through replacing anything that's more rotten with stones and rocks and just making things a bit more solid. We're focusing on the sustainability of everything. And we've got a few coming up at Halliburton for much the same thing. Replacing timber things, just replacing erosion and sorting climbs out. So we seem to be doing quite well at fixing up tracks and not doing much work on the actual trails, but you know, it's a good example of the sort of thing that trail associations can do quite well, because nobody else really wants to do that. You know, you're never going to find a bunch of guys sneaking in with head torches one night to fix a climb. So we'll take that on the chin and get on with that. So yeah, that's pretty much what we've been focused on. Hopefully for the rest of this year we'll have a crack at the rest of the climb at some point. We might actually be able to ride up Barrow without getting muddy.
Wow. Okay, so staying at November, there was a drainage day at Pink Floyd. Don't know if you want to provide any info on that.
Yeah, so I mean that was one of the public days that we did. It was really cold that day. A lot of the ground was pretty frozen, but the crew that was up there did a good job. That was a public day, but the majority of the work, certainly since the storm, has been done on a lot of the other trails that are there in Dunkeld, just clearing trees, clearing access paths. A fair amount can be done by us as the TTA, and thanks to everyone that has been out doing that kind of stuff. There are bigger issues with bigger groups of trees and more serious damage to access roads and so on, but we are working with the landowners on that, and we'll come on to that a little bit later on. But yeah, thanks to everyone that's been out individually, small groups, big groups, public days, just to keep on top of the trails, especially since the storm.
Right, we're at December now, so December the A9 underpass reopened at Dunkeld, which you've obviously touched on. And then also in December we put 6 more people through the DIRT training to become TTA trail coordinators. The kind of idea with that was really just to have more trail coordinators, predominantly in Barlow and Dukeney and Canoe, just so we can have more regular digs there. We've got, well, myself and Mike are pretty active at Dunedin, and I've got a ton of trail coordinators that are pretty active up in Dunkeld as well, so Barlow and Dukeney seems like the obvious ones. So as part of that DIRT training course, we made kind of pretty significant improvements to the main climb up to Smiler. It's not perfect yet, but it's made a big difference, and hopefully there'll be a wee bit more work on that to make it kind of work a wee bit better. So January, yeah, so we had a Trailfox tutorial, an online tutorial with a guy in America from Trailfox in January, and that was unbelievably helpful. So it's such a powerful tool that, you know, for managing trails. So the TTA are now the official admin on Trailfox. We're the official admin at Barlow, Halliburton, Dunkeld, Burnham, Dukeney, Canoe and Pitmedden. So basically it means that we've been able to kind of go in, so there's a ton of different names for trails and all that, and it didn't match up with Strava and all this sort of thing. So now we've got the opportunity to go in, make sure the trails have got the right names. We can tighten up the trail mapping a wee bit, so that we can make sure that that's accurate. So it's quite surprising how crap our trail mapping was in some places. Because what happens is you go in, and when you name a trail, you go down with a GPS and it maps that trail, but then over maybe eight months, 600-700 people ride it, and actually the heat map shows that it's slightly different. So we've been able to drag the trail mapping across the heat map to make sure it's really exactly where people are riding. So that's been pretty good, and strangely kind of addictive when you start doing that.
Cleaning up the trails. There is an important bit to that. So basically, the way the GPS works, it could be 10 metres out left to right, 20 metres out left to right, so you end up with individual lines that could be 30, 40, 50 metres out of sync with where the actual trail is. So when you're using the heat map, you've got hundreds of lines, and you can just take an average, if you like, and plot it. So the important bit for trail forks, and why they're keen to make sure this is all super duper, is for creating routes. So if you're trying to create an actual route to climb up somewhere, go along there, and come back down somewhere else, like a 10-mile loop or whatever, everything can connect into each other properly, because everything's all synced, and a trail will end at another trail junction precisely. So it'll just link in automatically, if that makes sense. Rather, because if there's a gap, it might not understand how to get to. I mean, you can visually see it. If you're trying to follow a route on map, it won't work otherwise. And that's why that's why it's important to get that bit right. But the other bits as well, if we're going to touch on that area, it's allowed us to close off areas so people are aware that this area is closed off, tree fall or things like that. So yeah, it's been a pretty useful tool, and then people can report issues directly to us rather than having to go through a third party, a moderator, trail forks that doesn't even live in the area. So.
Yeah, no, it's been really good. So any kind of public trail report, so we can put trail reports up as we ride. We can put a trail report up, and we know that one of our trail coordinators has actually seen that trail in it, so we know we can trust that report. And but if any kind of members of the public put a report up, it comes through to us, and then we kind of prove it from there. So no, it's really good. I think that's going to be really good going forward. So also in January, another storm. We had Storm Aisha. Dozens of trees down all over the place again. So we had to kind of go in and deal with that over the kind of following weeks. So that's really, the storms have really kept us busy. Then in January we had a really nice surprise. Ian and I went up to the Canoe Hill Users Group meeting, and it was announced that we were being donated $3,000. A benefactor, like a couple that used to use Canoe and Jukney a lot, they had left a lot of money to a local charity, and that was then given to the Canoe Hill Users Group, and they saw fit to give us $3,000 because we had fixed quite a lot of paths, walkers, trails. We had cut back a lot of gorse, so not necessarily mountain bike stuff, but we've done quite a lot of work up at Canoe and Jukney to try and build up a wee bit of trust and a bit of rapport with other kind of trail users, I suppose. So that's obviously been pretty well received, because we had no idea we were going to get that money. So that was absolutely brilliant. And we're nearly finished. So we're on to February, and we carried on clearing the storm damage from Storm Aisha, and I think there's another storm as well. So again, that's kept us busy. Also in February we ordered a bunch of these banners So that the trail closed banners. So instead of us just putting a horrible couple of bits of tape, we ordered 8 of those, so 2 for each crew, and we can now have fancy stuff at the end of each trail if we're going to be working on it. People know not to come through, hopefully. And then we were the other day we got a message on Facebook from a guy, a TTA supporter, who's offered us about 15 million miles of polypipe. So that's going to come in really handy. We just need to figure out where to keep it. So we've got tons of that coming, and that's going to come in so handy. So if anybody needs any pipe, then you know where to come. And that's I think that's kind of that's up to date. So that's what we've done over the last 12 months. That's a kind of concise version of what we've done. So where are we now? Yeah, right, okay. So I just kind of wanted to just quickly again, these are kind of bullet points. It was just to go through a few of the success stories over the last year. Not in any detail, but just there was a lot of really good stuff happening to show that we are kind of moving on and we're developing as a trail association. So I'll just quickly run through them. So first bullet point, as we brought a load of kind of new members into the team, you know, for behind the scenes, from the last 2 AGMs really, and they've made a really big difference to kind of every aspect of the TTA and the professionalism, is that a word? How professional we are. So that's been great. We've raised funds and we boosted the profile through the events we did last year, and that was those events actually came about because of one of the new people we brought on. I would say our social media is quite a lot better, you know, over the last kind of year or so, in terms of the quality and quantity of the posts. So thanks to Claire for that. We're replying to emails and other messages quite a bit more effectively as well. Thanks again to Claire. I would say that our dig day marketing is quite a bit better now that Graham discovered AI generated posters, and so there's a lot more fairies and rainbows involved, which is always good, isn't it? The number of public dig days we've had has increased, probably most noticeably at Penedden and Barrow in terms of public dig days, and I think that's just because we've got more kind of active trail coordinators at those venues. But we've put more people through the dirt course to encourage more maintenance days at Canoe and Jukney, and so hopefully we can have more public dig days in kind of all areas as we move on. Another kind of bullet point I would say, probably slightly biased here, but I think the Penedden trails are probably running better and safer than they've ever run before. And that's basically down to regular maintenance days, some pretty well thought out improvements to trails and things like that. Bog of Barrow is massively improved, and hopefully that will be going to have a bit more work done to it. So, like Graham said, it should be even better over the next 12 months. Another quite significant thing, we've actually got money in the bank, which is amazing. So we've actually got money in the bank to replace like tools that are broken, buy new tools, renew our dig day insurance for a couple of years, and that's thanks to kind of these pretty big events that did take a lot of time and effort to do. So we wouldn't want to keep doing that, but they've really given us a bit of a nest egg, and obviously we're getting more regular donations from the riding community, which is pretty amazing, really. So I think that's kind of through your trail, not so much through Trail Karma, but we are set up for Trail Karma and Trail Forks, and we've left the QR code on the trailheads at all the kind of venues and stuff. So to donate, especially with views at home, that would be great. yeah, the trail coordinator packs, like I said before, have made a big difference, made organising dig days much simpler and quicker, and we've got kind of semi-automated spreadsheets, dig day plans, risk assessments. That's a bit of a game changer in terms of organising official dig days. So we can even say how many people we need, what work needs done, what tools we need, how many of them, all that sort of thing. So that's kind of speeds things up. I would say that our trail repairs are probably becoming a bit more effective the more we do things and the more we realise that certain things work and certain things don't. So I think that can only be a good thing. Hopefully we'll just get better at that, and obviously sharing knowledge between the trail crews is really helpful as well. I would say we've been much quicker recently at getting trails back open after the storms, and I think that's probably down to having more trail coordinators at each venue, and probably good communication between through the riding community, and obviously with us being admin and trail forks, that really helps because people can submit a report and we get it straight away, and then we can act on that. And the other thing is, being able to kind of amend trail names and mapping and things like that, and make that a wee bit tighter on trail forks is good, and being able to keep the kind of trail conditions reports up to date is going to be great going forward. Right, so that was the successes. There's probably a lot more challenges than we've written down here, but I'll just go through a few of the kind of challenges we're facing at the moment. So don't know if it's more storms or if they're just more damaging, but we seem to be spending a lot of time clearing fallen trees. Obviously bridges getting washed away, just things that never seemed to happen before for whatever reason. So that's taken up a lot of time to do that, and our hands are tied a wee bit in terms of clearing windblow. We can't clear, we're not allowed to use power tools on FLS land, so no chainsaws. We can't clear anything that's complicated, kind of cut up trees, all that sort of thing. So we can only really clear really kind of simple windblow, which is pretty limiting, especially if we are going to have more storms. But that's just the way it is. It would be great to be able to kind of move that on a wee bit and have people on the books that would genuinely be able to go in as an approved contractor and be able to clear that for us. So we will be working on that, but that's not an easy thing. Another issue that we've got, and we'll probably always have it, is kind of individual trail builders. I suppose you could call them renegade trail builders that are just carrying out work without any permission. Maybe they'll put it, not always, but maybe they'll put trails in appropriate places, build unsafe features or just poor drainage. Basically, no consultation with the riding community, no permission from landowners, none of that stuff. So you can't, the whole point of the TTA is to try and get away from that. We were all doing it, not me, but lots of people were doing that, and that was the whole point of setting up the Trail Association. The trails got there because of renegade trail builders, you can't deny that, but I think we're moving away from those days now, so to still have people like that make things really difficult for us. And just doesn't really help the cause, so that's an ongoing issue that we've got. And it would be better for those trail builders to just get in touch with us and just get involved, because we've now got a legitimate kind of vehicle to do trail maintenance. So anyway, is on certain trails, just due to the sheer volume of traffic that they're seeing, mountain biking's more popular these days. We've got e-bikers, doing multiple laps, whatever you think of e-bikes, that's what they're good at. Causing a lot more damage, people riding fragile trails in unsuitable conditions. I suppose you've got kind of that's kind of difficult. It's quite difficult to keep up with maintenance. So obviously, the more people that get involved with the TTA, the more we can do, the more we spread the load, the better the trails are. The less load on a small amount of people. So we really need as many people to get involved in our dig days as possible. Another challenge, I suppose, is we don't get a lot of women or like females on digs. Don't know why. Maybe it's our marketing, or maybe I don't know. Maybe we're not pushing that enough. But we don't get a lot of females on dig days, and we don't have. Do we have any female trail coordinators? Oh, brings us on to you.
Yeah, do you want me to go through Dunkeld personnel?
If you want, go for it. Yeah.
A couple of other bits that have been a bit more specific to Dunkeld for kind of future events and things that are happening. On the 9th to the 11th of August, the Limitless Mountain Bike Festival is coming. There's lots of information about that online and more to follow. But as part of that, they're going to be doing guided trips, some coaching, various kind of trail repairs for bikes. So they're going to do a dig day and are going to support us as we look to put a few more people through a coordinator course, particularly females as well. So they're going to help financially with that as well, and there's going to be some support from Highland Postal Cycling to help with that. Out there is interested, come along to some digs first, have a chat, see how you get on, and then if you're looking to become a coordinator, then we can kind of take it from there. You don't have to become a coordinator to dig, so just come along and help out. That would be great. There's a couple of other events happening as well. 21st of April, the Dirt Divas mountain bike and gravel event is coming to Dunkeld as well. Again, there's going to be more information about that going online fairly shortly. More group rides, more engagement, again with females, which is great to see. We as Progression Bikes, so I run Progression Bikes in Dunkeld, are also going to be doing a demo day and dig with Mondraker, which are one of our suppliers, and that's going to tie into various other events and dig sessions as well, so that's great. And there was work that was happening last year to work on some sort of user conflict around Burn and Glen, around the bottom of Insure and Burn, where lots of bikers met walkers. That was going well till the bridge got washed away, so that's kind of on hold until we kind of re-establish that with FLS to discuss various things, which we'll talk about in a mo. But after that, there will also be one with Athol Estates as well to discuss exactly the same stuff. They've also got trails on their land. They've also got a lot of trees that are down. But hopefully, after our meeting with FLS, when we get a bit of a better sense of kind of the future of managing wild trails, so that's positive as well. So some good stuff coming this year. There's also some work that's going to happen with the Pink Floyd climb. Gary, do you want to mention anything about that?
Yeah, so between me and my friend who is in the groundworks trade, we've been looking at trying to fix the climb, because over the last year or 2 years, just with the drainage and the water coming down it, it's totally destroyed it. So we're looking to kind of reinstate about a kilometre of the climb between the two gates, if anybody knows the two gates. So, and hopefully, it's just at the minute, we're just trying to get all the stars to align and get some funding, get some time, and we're waiting on the weather as well, to be fair. We need to wait for the ground to dry out before we start tearing up and diggers, and so it'll be pretty sizable project which will benefit access to two trails tremendously.
So that's a definite, and that's definitely happening.
It's well, I said to Adam that day, if I have to go up there with a spade and do it with hand, it's going to happen. It's on, yeah. So if we can get it all just to line up, I'd really like to get that done before the start of summer, so it's bedded in for winter.
There's some funding to finalise.
Yeah, we're totally get some money together for it.
As we get a better sense of kind of costs for labour, machinery, and material. But,
it'll be a relatively small group of people due to we have machines in there, so there probably won't be public in there that digging away and that. It'll be,
especially when there's a machine on site.
It'll be a kind of close thing, but
And how long do you reckon that would take to do that? Are you talking weeks or?
I mean, obviously we're all doing it on a voluntary basis, so it'll be weekends.
It's a 2024 project.
Yeah.
Right.
I want to get it done before the start of summer. So between now and then.
Summer starts in June.
So long as so long as we can get, like you said, there's several things we need to get all lined up. If we can get all tuned in, then
That'd be amazing to get that done.
How would that affect the access up to Lake and Ruin on the site? Because it would be great to have that obviously thing about settled, which doesn't really affect Pink Floyd at all, but then it would be more traffic going up to Lake and Ruin, and that issue with settled.
So I mean that second part of the climb from the gate up to Lake and Ruin is a bog. I mean, I've kind of talked about it. I'm not entirely sure the best way to fix that due to the ground.
Yeah, is it the same landowner from
I believe it is, I believe it's the same landowner,
there are different concerns, but phase one would be get the main climb up to Pink Floyd done. And I think because there is a shared access up the existing walkers path, it does provide a probably more resilient access to Lake and Ruin for those that are going up that way. There's a bit of hiking right at the very top, but there is going up the other way as well. So
I would say predominantly it's mostly bikers from that side of the place. Whereas under actual rumbling, like I said, quite a task to take on.
Worthwhile though.
Worthwhile,
Yeah, I think if we did something on the top half, currently it's boggy, but it's just natural. If we then look to put in something more substantial, that would definitely change the aesthetic of the thing. So it's something to consider for sure. We'll see how we get on and how much the material costs and is needed to get it in. But that'd be good to get that done for sure.
We've probably covered a wee bit of this. So the next, number 5, get involved. But you're already involved, so probably talking to people if there's anybody at the end of that. Like I say, we just need more people. The more people that are kind of regularly involved, the more we can do. We've got in a few days' time is a meeting with Forestry and Land Scotland, and that's basically kind of to run through a few things that are already in place. So we need to chat about renewing our agreement with Forestry and Land Scotland, between TTA and Forestry and Land Scotland. We've got discussion about Dukeney Bike Park, about extending that, this is an ongoing plan. It looks like, hopefully it will happen this year. So the bike park would eventually merge into a wee kind of probably red graded trail that will take us right back to Jubilee Car Park, and we'll have to delete the current exit out onto the Fire Road because that's causing a few issues for people as they're going up the Fire Road. So that's one of the discussions that we have to have. The other one is the wild trails policy that Forestry and Land Scotland have. I think that's kind of changing, so I'm not sure what that's going to involve. But that's another thing we're going to discuss. We're going to have to chat about our dig day and inspection process. Clear and wind blow, that's another thing we need to chat about, how that's going to be in the future, and any kind of upcoming forest operations we'll talk about that as well. Also coming up, we've got Barlow and Halliburton Dig Days on the 9th and 23rd of March. Don't know if you want to chat about that, Jim?
So next Saturday and again on the 23rd, we've got some dig days over at Halliburton to fix storm damage mostly from Storm Babette to Purple Heart and Agent Orange. And then after that, we'll be looking at tackling the climb, which again is a bit of a bog. It's not as bad as Barrow, but it's not great. So we'll be looking at armouring the worst bits, I guess, putting in more drainage, making sure that runs a bit better. Beyond that, we'll probably have a couple more dig days going on at Barrow, because we've got more coordinators now. Some are more able to do stuff through the week, so we're looking at maybe having some midweek dig days, possibly some evening dig days as we get into the summer. So we'll sort of finish work, come and dig through that and ride through that. Have a few of those hopefully coming up. At Barrow, there's a few new issues, again, because forestry have been removing timber, so we need to go and rebuild things, make sure everything's still running. They're pretty good at leaving things safe, but not necessarily very good. So there's a few jumps that are missing bits and arms that are missing bits, which we need to go and fix. And there's been forest operations happening at Red Creek, which is a bit between Halliburton and Barrow. That should be wrapping up this month, and the trails apparently haven't been too badly trashed, so forestry say. So hopefully we'll be able to get back in there and see what's left, and hopefully reinstate some of those. They weren't very popular anyway, but those people would like them, and they're a good way to get from one place to the other, so we'll see what we'll do around then. And we may have some more forest operations coming up later in the year, but forestry have been pretty good so far at engaging on this, and the trail fox stuff lets us identify and flag to them these trails are popular, thousands of people ride this one, thousands of people ride this one, so we can hopefully get a meeting with them to minimise damage, and like I say, they've actually shown a pretty good willingness to engage and discuss at least how that filters through the FLS machine. We'll see, but so far it's pretty encouraging.
Okay, so also coming up, we've got a couple of pit med and dig days. So we've also got one on the 9th of March. Not trying to compete with Barlow, but we've got one on the 9th of March. There's only so many weekends, everybody's free, and that's going to be on the Sawmill downhill tracks. Mike, do you want to say anything about that?
We're pretty blessed at Pittenhead, to be honest, with the downhill track side of things. We've got a very well maintained kind of forestry road that goes up, so we don't really have any issues with the actual access. Then there's a small bit of single track that leads directly to the downhill tracks. We put in a dig day, 4 years ago, to reinforce that, because it was getting quite kind of sloppy, and it's held up considering the literal tens of thousands of wheels that have been across it. So we're quite blessed there. So really, over this winter, we've put in days and private sessions to keep things maintained, and just keeping on top of that, it's been pretty good. So the dig day that weekend, it's on a trail called Bagpuss. It's got a couple of steep chutes in it, which are prone to braking bumps. That's completely unavoidable, regardless of the level of rider. So there'll be a lot of work trying to clean up the braking bumps, and then basically de-rutting any other issues that we come across. So it'll be a relatively easy day, only made possible by the fact that we've been keeping up with the maintenance over winter, rather than not having that ability to go in and fix things. Because if we were just leaving it to get worse and worse and worse, then you end up with really big problems to try and deal with on a weekend, instead of easy dealt with problems. So and that's basically it for the downhill day next weekend.
There's also going to be a pit med and dig day on the 7th of April, and that's just to kind of get the Loam Lover and Roam Rover, get some decent drainage in there and just tidy them up a wee bit. Nothing major. So that's the 7th of April. Then moving on to the 18th of May, we've got a pick, dig and ride day, and that's Dukeney, and that's in collaboration with Orbea, Trash Free Trails and Tay Titans. So basically it's exactly what it says. It's a litter pick, and then there's a TTA dig day in amongst that as well, and also there's an Orbea demo day, and that should all be kind of based around Canoe Shed. Then any Dunkeld big days lined up?
We've got a few as well, because they've got a couple of days. So there'll be a few dates, official public days, but there's an awful lot of smaller days that are happening and happen quite a lot over winter.
And then you've told them all about Limitless and all that sort of thing. Right, very, very quickly, future developments. So just to kind of touch on something you mentioned. So there's the Dukeney Bike Park extension. That's going to be and it's all looking really promising. So I think Perth and Carnos Countryside Trust and FLS and ourselves, it's a kind of collaboration. So I think the funding's there, the demand is there. FLS are on board as a landowner, which is phenomenal. So all the things are falling into place for that, and it's looking extremely likely. And we were hoping that it's going to happen this year, but we need to chat about that next week and see what the kind of timeline is for that. So that trail would probably replace the two trails that kind of currently go down to Jubilee Car Park. Then we've got Craigie Hill Trail Network, which is already touched on that. That's hopefully within the next 5 years. That's also bubbling away. And then something I haven't mentioned yet is Bertha Park Trails. So Bertha Park is like a new village that's being built just kind of north of Perth, and the landowner has offered up basically, it looks like a couple of kind of woodland areas, hillside woodland areas overlooking Bertha Park Loch, and he's put that aside for mountain bike trails, and McGowan's went in with Perth and Carnos Countryside Trust a few weeks ago, or a couple of months ago now, to have a look at what kind of scope there is to put trail network in there, and that looks really promising as well. So again, that's a kind of I think that's probably within the next couple of years potentially, but that's all fallen into place quite nicely as well. So if Dukeney Bike Park gets extended, Craigie Hill gets some trails joining into Magdalen, and then you've got the Bertha Park trails. Basically there's going to be some proper mountain bike riding all the way in each kind of side of Perth, which would be great. Okay, so that's that. And then so I suppose this is kind of last thing is to introduce the new committee, because like I say, I'm stepping down as the chair. So I've been the chair of the TTA, well, since before it was the TTA. So how it came about, very, very quickly, was I was organising the McMedden races. Adam was one of the organisers of the Dunkeld Enduro. At the time, Grant Murdoch was organising the Ballo Enduro, and we were all just digging trails as part of those events, and we just thought that it made sense to set up a trail association. So we managed to rope in Ian Holden, who was one of the coaches at the Tay Titans, and that basically meant we had somebody in each of our kind of venues. So we set it up in 2020, so that's 4 years. So there was probably a couple of years work before that to get it all up and running. So we've been constituted for 4 years now. I think it's going from strength to strength. Really, the more people get involved, the more skills we've got in the group, and it's going in the right direction. I hand the chair over. I mean, I'm really, really proud to have kind of managed to get this, or be one of the driving forces to get this up and running. And the idea was I would probably try and step back once I felt that we were in a place where there's just enough good people involved that it's just going to be its own thing. So I'm going to hand the chair over to the only person that was willing to take it, and that is Jerry. Hi.
Hello. So I've been involved with the TTA for a couple of years now as a trained coordinator at Ballard. I was persuaded by Grant to take over looking at summer maintenance at Ballard, as he got sort of coming out the other side. So we've kind of transitioned that over, and so I kind of stuck my head up as a backstop, and nobody else wanted to do it, so here we are. But yeah, I think the main thing to emphasise is that it is definitely a collective thing. We're all in this together, so it's not like anybody's telling anybody what to do. We're here to coordinate things, not to tell people what to do. So it's listening to what people are saying and facilitating whatever changes the community wants and giving us a voice to speak to London. So I think it's a testament to what Aaron and Adam and Michael and everybody achieved. The likes of FLS and Person Mass Council and big developers and stuff are now speaking to us, and not just because we phone them, they're coming to us to ask us questions about things and ask us to get involved and to consult and give our opinion and to feedback what riders and people are doing. So I mean, it's a huge achievement to come from the digging head torches in the woods and kind of sneaking around us to be like, actually, this is a proper thing, and this is a proper thing that's maybe not quite seen as an equal by forestry in Scotland, but definitely seen as an important part of the conversation going forward. So what we need to do now is just kind of build on that and push that forward. So otherwise, the rest of the office bearers, so Ian Holden, who's, as Aaron said, involved with Titans and also Dimpin's Trail Therapy, bits and pieces, he's carrying on as vice chair, Adam's going to be carrying on as secretary, and Nicole as the treasurer. And some of the more behind the scenes stuff, we've got Claire, who's doing our admin and looking after social media and kind of making sure we all reply to emails that we're supposed to and all that kind of stuff. And Blair, who's sitting at the back there, looking after the website and also looking at the social things and again, just little technical bits and pieces that are an important component of making sure everything works. And now there's pretty much critical part of putting together the on your bike event, and again, it's just one of these things that you don't really think necessarily goes into building trails, but is a big part of the unseen stuff that goes in. And lastly, Aaron is sticking around. Communication, well, hopefully more helpful than that. But so he's going to continue to be involved, and again, just being part of the glue that holds us all together. But yeah, I think definitely give this man a round of applause for everything he's done over the last few years.
I'll give myself right, any questions or any kind of discussion, I mean, of any description, like, do you think we're doing well, do you think we're doing crap, what do you think we could be doing better? Is it anything you've got any questions? Good enough question.
Okay, we have 4 people.
4. One's probably my mum. Right, so nothing really. No burning.
A question from this side of the table?
Yeah.
So we've got a meeting with the FLS in the near future. So there's a couple of things we've got here that we're talking about that are quite important really as to how we progress forward as a trail association, which is the wild trails kind of situation. So do you have any idea what it is they want to discuss about that? Because the way I feel about mountain biking is 99% of the trails are wild trails. That's what made mountain biking what it is. And we do need to look after the trails and protect them, armour them, etc. But if we move away from the wild trail side of things, there's a vast bulk of mountain bikers that will just keep making wild trails because that's what they like doing. So the forestry company that head about it, they have to accept that this is a part of the ecosystem of mountain biking. So do you know what it is they want to discuss about that? Or?
Do you know? I mean,
no, really. At this stage, no, we don't know. It was great that it was actually Robin that approached us and said, "I want to talk about all these things."
Yeah.
I guess we've been talking to landowners for over a decade about managing wild trails. FLS, or at the time, Forestry Commission were part of that. They were on the table when Managing Wild Trails document came out, so they are aware of the problem and have been for a number of years. Which I guess is the first step for a lot of landowners is just awareness. But they've helped to write the book on it. What they want to talk about and how they want to kind of go forwards based on kind of the last couple of years, I'm not quite sure. I think a lot of it will be based around storm damage and how that has affected wild trails. But exactly what they want to talk
Maybe
about.
getting a clear definition from them as to what they class as a wild trail, because obviously it's quite a grey area from a lot of an animal running the heather to a widely used path to something that's had tools attached to it to make it better for biking, for instance.
Yeah, I mean there are different classifications of trail, from a desire line that has been ridden by a deer. Maybe, who knows? That a deer has walked. I mean, a biker can ride anywhere in theory, and then obviously that goes right the way up to a machine graded walker's path, and kind of everything in between really. So yeah, we'll just have to see what comes out of it. I'm hoping that it's positive, because it was them that approached us.
Yeah.
And they're clearly aware of the problem, especially with the amount of kind of fallen trees. In terms of the actual erosion of trails from a biker's point of view, that's less of their concern, so that's probably still down to us, how we manage the increased numbers of bikers, e-bikers, etc., that kind of stuff. That will probably still be down to us as inspectors, managers and so on, to maintain those. I think it'll be really good to see what comes out of that, I think.
We'll see. Is that it then? Looks like it. Right.
No questions online either, apart from the volume thing. So.
That's a wrap.